This camera setup is actually the most random one in the world. Welcome to another video. It's been a really long time since I posted, but I wanted to share a sketchbook tour video. As I began a new sketchbook, I suddenly felt motivated again, especially with the beautiful scenery around me. So yeah, I have actually been drawing in my sketchbook because usually I just draw digitally. But now I have turned back to traditional. Well, I'm doing both, but now I actually enjoy doing traditional. So yeah, I just wanted to do like a mini sketchbook tour just because I have not even gotten halfway. And I don't even know if the sketchbook is going to fall apart because it probably will. But anyway, I've not drawn so much, so I don't be expecting anything too crazy because honestly, I've really not been drawing up only until recently. So you know, if you're expecting anything too crazy, then don't. But the important thing is that I haven't lost any skills. I've just not necessarily gained any for the fact that I've literally not been drawing at all. Okay, so let's get started. So the first page in my sketchbook, I'm not gonna lie, I did try to make it look relatively perfect because I feel like that is the pressure that people have when like you open the sketchbook, right? Everyone's always stressed out about the first page. But anyway, so the first page I think looks relatively well. It was just a generic side profile study because as you'll see on one of the future pages, I really need to practice a lot with side profiles. Also, something worth noting is that this is a relatively cheap sketchbook. I didn't go too crazy because I was doing so much digital work. I didn't want to then buy every expensive thing just because I was slightly interested in doing traditional again and then end up wasting it and not using it. So the sketchbook is relatively cheap to the point where I don't know if I can actually paint and if the pages will survive, but we'll see in the future. So I only got colored pencils recently. The next page, I was trying to have fun with facial expressions. And then also some little anatomy studies. Something that I find quite hard, which is obviously a lot easier to do digitally, is when you resize pictures. So if you draw something too big, you can just resize it. With traditional, it's like, no, this is the end. So I'm trying to get the hang of that so that my pictures don't end up being like cut off halfway through. So before I was drawing just with pencils mostly, and then I thought, oh, let me treat myself to some fine line pens. I think mainly I was just using the brush pens, and then as of recently I actually started to get the proper fine line pens. And yeah. Okay, so these two characters are literally the cutest characters ever in the game called Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Their names are Benny and Saya. If you were to ask me which one is which, I have absolutely no idea. But like, okay, drawing hands is not my specialty, so I was like, do they really need hands? Not really. It's my sketchbook. They don't need to have hands. But I think that's really something that is important to differentiate when you're a beginner in doing studies all the time and then actually drawing things that you're really interested in, because you can get really bored and burnt out if you're just doing studies. Also, you need to implement what you're actually learning into a full piece. So whether or not you're adding rendering to that as well, or even if you're just sketching, doing studies is great, but if you're not then implementing that into like sort of a final piece, you're not really going to be learning much. That's how I feel anyway. So yeah, with these characters, I was like, I just need to draw something fun. I need something fun to be in my sketchbook or else I'm gonna start crying. So the next page is some more studies. So for this, I realized like the things that I'm doing wrong, but also like trying to have more fun with the layout and also practicing the anatomy of clothing. And then, as my little reward, I feel like this is quite common in my sketchbook, so there will be like a page of studies and then the next page will be something fun, because why would I suffer and just draw studies all the time? Because that will really bore me, and I think that's probably why I got a little bit burnt out when I was in the UK, because every time I would meet someone, they would be at like maybe a certain level, or sometimes how I felt when I was like going to events in the UK is that people aren't as interested if your skills aren't that high. Really a chance for me to just play with layout. I was also confused of what the hell to draw. I'm not gonna lie, some of my pages are a little bit random, but you know, what can I do about that? this page was my reward for surviving the previous thing that I just drew. Oh my god, let me just keep drawing. I draw a lot of faces, and I draw the like 3/4 view really well, and then also the front view, although this is supposed to have like a little bit of perspective because he's like looking, his head is tilted backwards. And then this one I really failed with the perspective here, but I didn't rip these pages out of my sketchbook, which I normally would do, so you know, yay me. Yeah, Norway is literally my favorite country. Well, okay, if you take away Spain, Norway is my favorite country in Europe, and I finally felt a little bit motivated to actually draw environments. Now, these are not perfect, and if you know how to draw environments, then please look away. This is for beginners only. But you know, I finally felt motivated to actually tackle it. This next page I was doing on the plane from Norway to the UK. A flight attendant complimented my work. I feel like flight attendants are so nice. At the end of the day, I'm trying to remind myself every time I'm drawing in my sketchbook, it's about having fun. I did some anatomy studies, skeletal mass, and then I was writing notes on things that I'm not so good at, just so I have that for reference. I think in this point in April, I got a lot more confident with just drawing anything and everything that I thought looked cool. This is also from Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I believe that these things are called rot. I don't know why, but anyway, they are absolutely adorable. Have I completed the game? No. Will I complete the game? I don't know if I'll complete this game, but like, it's so pretty. And the world, I need to actually find the artist that worked on this, to be honest. I've not stalked them yet, but the concept art for this is insane. So at this point, I decided to try and tackle the 100 heads challenge again. I had done it previously, but digitally, so it was a lot easier for me to correct any mistakes that I made. And you know, I would say that these pages I was doing relatively well, how quickly I was doing them, and then these pages as well. And then I just started to look at some random faces as well. Like, I'm pretty sure this one's not actually in the Pinterest board, but I was like, let me just draw something interesting and try and practice facial expression. So I feel like I did relatively well. Okay, now I know I just said that my skills were getting better and I felt more confident, but there are levels to it, which is why I say that I'm a beginner intermediate level, because these look fine. And even like this one kind of is kind of off, but it looks okay. But this one is a situation. Now this is my favorite page in my sketchbook, because if you know these two characters, then you're an amazing person. But this is one of my favorite characters in Demon Slayer, and I just wanted to draw them. Again, just having fun with my sketchbook. At this point, I'd moved to New Zealand, and I was still looking for a job, so I actually had a lot more free time to draw stuff and like spend the whole day drawing. So after having fun, I clearly decided to ruin my life and do hand studies, because I haven't done them in a very long time. I do need to properly look at a tutorial on how to draw hands and how they're made up, because I feel like I make them either too long or too short. I would say that me drawing hands traditionally is a big step, because I would just give my characters no hands. So like, whenever you see my characters have hands and I've drawn them traditionally, then just know that I was working incredibly hard. And then we're getting to like the last few pages of my sketchbook. So as I mentioned, I recently moved to New Zealand just on a working holiday. This place is absolutely gorgeous. I've not been to a lot of the places that I want to go to, but I've been to Mount Eden, and then this was I think this was when I was in Devonport, and then I was looking at some of the mountains that they had in the distance. Trees. The trees here are absolutely insane. So I really love how the trees look in New Zealand and Portugal. There's just something about them. They're so like windy and bendy, and I feel like it really works well with like Japanese style inking, and how they, you know, it just looks so flowy. And then this is my second to last page. I drew one of my favorite characters from an anime. So even though I'm really loving drawing environments in New Zealand, they still do take a lot of energy out of me as opposed to drawing like portraits or something like this, which I'm really interested in. Is me drawing the Hobbiton. So obviously I had to go there because I'm in New Zealand, and I just need to like actually work up the courage to do the rest of this page. But yeah, I think I am finally really enjoying like actually drawing. So hopefully by the end of the year I can do another like updated sketchbook tour, and yeah, we'll see how much I've sort of become confident with actually drawing in this book and what else I've done. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.